DeMaris, and welcome to Macro Magic. Today I have a very special guest with me, and we're not in the kitchen for a reason. We're going to talk a little bit more about healing, because oftentimes when we cook really healthy food for people and they learn how to cook and they learn how to eat well, something might hold them back in terms of their emotional or actually a physical feeling, emotional feeling, spiritual feeling, and they get stuck in the process. So lately, I've been working with some particularly great healers, and I wanted to share them with you on the show and let you see some of the dynamics that they use, some of the props they use, some of the techniques they've incorporated in order to help a person on their healing path. So today I have a wonderful guest, a very good friend of mine, Sheri-Lynn. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So great to have you here. And as a quick surprise, we made Mara some corn silk tea, because I know that you work with the American Indians, and we wanted to keep the theme of corn and make it a simple cooking process, because we really want to talk to Mara a little bit deeper and find out what she does and the amazing healing abilities that she has. So corn silk tea is a dried silk off the corn on the cob. Make sure to use non-GMO corn. You can buy it loose in health food stores. It looks sort of brown, little hairs. Or you can purchase it in tea bags, which is really fun. You can travel with it. And it's particularly good in the summertime. When it's really hot outside, it cools the body off. And it also has really great healing qualities. It helps lower blood pressure. So it's a wonderful tea to actually drink any time of the year, but particularly in summer. So we made a cup of corn silk tea. We strained it through this little bamboo strainer. So we're enjoying our tea, but we want to hear from Mara all the beautiful gifts that she's brought, and photos, and actually some sage. I understand that you have too.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and how you work one-to-one with clients, because I know many of my clients have come to see you and they've actually emotionally, I think, understood their issues and problems and have been able to sort of accomplish and gain in growth and be able to continue on their path of eating healthy food.
I think if I could break it down very clearly, I have this gift to see the unseen. So I call myself a seer and a healer and a spirit talker. And what I'm able to do, while what is happening through me, is that I am able to alleviate people's suffering and also bring them some clarity as to where they are on their life path. I always say it's very similar to giving them the ability to see the world in color again. Because what I see and am able to do is see people's paths and where they are on their path through this earth walk, and whether they're facing forward and walking gently and enjoying it is beautiful, but not many people are doing that. Some are stuck just sideways connecting with someone, or they're facing backwards into the past.
So oftentimes in counseling, I would say that an emotional crisis or death of a loved one or going through a divorce or whatever has set you or been traumatic enough for you to turn around or click off or...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And however, there's a silver lining in everything. And I always say, and what I know for sure, and from what I see, the greatest lessons come through suffering. You don't learn life's greatest lessons when everything is happy, happy, joy, joy all the time. It's truly when life brings you to your knees. So there truly is a silver lining in suffering. However, with that suffering, there is a way to walk through it and out of it and kind of put down some of the baggage or things that is not ours to carry along as we continue on our journey.
Which oftentimes impedes your physical healing process of eating the healthy food and learning how to cut out the junk and things like that.
Absolutely, and to just walk lighter with that. I had a gentleman contact me who has been studying Native American shamans since the 80s, and he's at a university, and he was asking me, he's written a few books, he was asking me what I can see and what I can do, and he said, can you put your hands on people yet and heal them? And I've done that with animals, but not people as of yet. But I alleviate their pain and suffering, and so that they can walk a lot lighter. And he said, well, if you do that, then they don't get sick. So it's truly, you can eat as healthy as you want, but if you are carrying this stuff that is just so heavy and no longer serves you, you are not going to be completely healed.
Right, and that's why we've been working so closely together.
Yes.
And I've seen your work, I've seen people come out and there's more of a lightness to them after a session. There's like a relief, there's like a knowing of seeing their issues or problems in a different way. So they're not caught up in the emotional roller coaster of them.
Yes, and that's what I see also during my readings, and I do individual readings for people, and we'll talk later about exactly the services that I offer. However, I'm so grateful and walk so humbly with this gift, and it's so important for me to do so because I believe that the true healers walk very humbly through this lifetime with what they are given. I know what's being asked of me, but in the middle of a reading, I just see their light getting brighter and them understanding. And a lot of it's just understanding and being confirmed of the strength that each one of us has within ourselves to walk through these periods of time.
Yeah,
and that
it's
we're
actually
capable.
giving us support, not thinking that we're very
Absolutely.
meek and can't overcome obstacles and things like that.
You need to just rise. Rise is one of my favorite words. And just rise up.
I love the symbolism that you give oftentimes in sessions because I've seen you work with various people in groups and individually. And I think you change the wording for people, which really helps. So a person comes in and they'll say, this has basically destroyed my life, or this trauma or whatever has devastated me. And by the end of their session, they're using a little bit more positive associations to what they went through, and they're feeling a little bit stronger. They're not feeling blown away by what's happened. So I think that's important too.
And because I was told, and when I first I've met many medicine men have come to me from tribes, and a Cherokee medicine man said to me, without knowing me or my life story, you have suffered more than most people walking here. And I said, yes. And he said, that's why they chose you. They meaning my spirit guides and the tribe on the other side who guides me. So, a lot of time when we're going through that suffering, it seems unbearable, but the gifts that you can get later, and I've seen, people that have truly suffered for a very long period of time and have chosen to still walk out the door and be what's beautiful in the world. I see them becoming healers. I see in their future them being able to help other people. So no one wants to suffer it, and we would not wish that suffering on anybody. But it happens, and if we rise and truly just go within and know who we are and learn that about ourselves and what we truly believe in, not what we've been taught in this lifetime, but what we truly believe to be true, then I just say, our roots start going into the earth and we become the mighty oak. And then when the winds come of things that really start blowing and that suffering comes, we don't flap as much. So there's just a lot of growth and lessons in that suffering. And yes, people, need to tap into their inner warrior and just keep walking.
And there's so much, like in counseling, just because I've done psychological counseling for kids in schools as well as adults, that I've seen when, people sometimes hold on to that crisis too long and use it, moving ahead. And it's like carrying extra luggage.
Yes.
And it weighs them down, and it's very, very hard because I'll teach them healthy cooking and then they'll go back to eating the junk because they're still carrying that heavy load of discontent, unhappiness, frustration, not feeling supported. And I just think it's so wonderful that we're working together now because you sort of help unload that a little bit, and then I come in and teach them how to really lighten up their diet, and it works hand in hand.
Yes, and we've known each other for years, and it's so interesting because having a farm, you know, I came down with Lyme disease for the second time, and nothing in my life is by chance. And so we've been friends for years, but all of a sudden I got Lyme disease again, and something was clicking as to not just taking, I took the antibiotic, but not just doing that, but something needed to shift. And I woke up one night to my guide saying, food is making you sick. And then for whatever reason, you and I were just meeting, and it just kind of clicked as to the way to eat healthy and what you're putting in your body and what's really working against you. So we have really clicked on this level of spirituality and food playing a part in that healing.
Yes, for sure. Like fix the blood, clean up the blood. It always helps, you know, psychology-wise and biology-wise.
Very much so, very much so.
So you have some gifts for us today. You're going to show what you use in sessions.
This is used in ceremony. It's white sage. What it does is brings in positivity and clears out negativity. It's used in ceremony all the time. It's used, light it in the beginning of readings, just to kind of bring in my tribe on the other side, bring in that person's guides or guardian angels, whatever they choose to call them.
Now, is this the same sage we use to cook in soups?
No, this is a different sage.
Okay, so a different plant.
Yes, it's a different plant. And it also clears out negativity in homes. So what I do, which we'll talk about later, is called smudging. And so it just kind of clears the energy. So just touching on it lightly now, then we can get more into it later. What it will do is clear the energy of people that you have been around all day, that, you know, may have been, you don't even know, but that negative energy is clinging on to you. Just kind of, you know, it's kind of like just taking a deep breath, a deep cleansing breath. And it's just beautiful, and people can feel the shift. Usually.
And our production manager, Keith, said he wants to sage the whole studio
I know,
today,
it's true. Everybody needs to be saged and smudged, it's called. And also moving into a new home, or being in a home and, you know, just something has happened that's kind of bad, or, you know, just life has happened. Going in and just clearing the energy, it just shifts things.
And this is something you do for people too, as well. For an appointment.
I do that, and I offer that on my website. SacredSweetgrass.com is my website, and I offer that service to go in and just cleanse homes, but also cleanse people. And then also a passion of mine is sometimes children are bothered by spirits that are in that house, and that I don't have any tolerance for. So I just can clear homes, clear people.
Told oftentimes, especially with kids with nightmares, they have nightmares if they've taken a lot of antibiotics. That changes their blood, and then they're more susceptible and fearful. So the sage and getting, you know, changing the blood
and
will
plus
help.
Truly now I can see the spirit world very clearly. It's a gift that I have.
Great.
But
so after break, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and talk more about your gifts, and maybe light some sage, and learn about some of your other prizes or surprises that you brought with us today.
Great. Thank you.
Welcome back to our show. I'm here with Mara Lind, and you've sent in a couple photos or a photo for us to talk about.
Yes. So the photo is, I just want to express that everyone should take time to be out in nature alone. And that is, there's nothing more healing than the Earth Mother and being out in nature. Each year I'm called to head out into the wilderness. And this photo is when I came across wild horses out in the wilderness, and it was one of the most spiritual moments. And actually the photo is a little bit further away. However, they did walk up to me, and I have a wild horse of my own, and I'm going to be doing some work with him and my other horse, which has some very powerful horse medicine, at my farm. I'm going to start offering that. There's such spiritual creatures, and so having experienced that, them walking up to me, there's something called sharing breath with a horse, and when they put their nose to you and breathe out, you gently blow into their nose, and they will remember you for a lifetime. And so these wild horses that didn't walk up to anyone or very afraid of humans walked up to me, and I was able to do that with one of them. And you know, it's moments like that that are just life-changing. But if I could just express for people that, you know, going out and sitting next to a creek, bringing yourself down to just looking at the birds and appreciating, you know, the beautiful gifts that are in front of you, are so important for you to heal.
Getting outside, because we're part of nature. So when we're indoors all the time, I mean, we even recommend that in macrobiotic counseling, because you need, your skin breathes.
Yes.
And if you're indoors all the time with artificial lighting, you know, you're missing vitamin D, you know, you need to breathe, you need to be outside. The trees are very healing, especially if you have emotional issues and pains.
Yes. And I even tell people, or my guides say to people a lot in readings, it's not the same going on a hike with a friend. And that's beautiful, and there's a time for that, please, as much as you can. But there are moments that we just need to be out there on our own, because that's when you will really learn so many things about yourself and maybe hear some messages, but you are definitely receiving healing at those times.
Right, and as children, we always had intuition.
Oh.
And intuition, you know, is trusting your gut. So when you're
Yes.
outside and it's quiet and peaceful in nature, it gives you a little bit of a leeway to start trusting your gut a little bit. Start trying to, you know, get some insight, more insight.
Absolutely. And I remember just as a child being in the dirt. And I remember my mother also saying as I was a child, when me and my siblings were around, I can't hear myself think. And I never understood what that meant, but it makes so much sense now. And so it's not until you're truly just there, sitting in your silence and listening to the birds and
it's
listening
hard.
to the water.
You know, we're grown up with cell phones and TVs and all sorts of distractions. So much so we've sort of lost contact with who we are.
Yes.
So it's really important to spend some time, at least a half hour every day.
Absolutely. And that there will be nothing more healing than that. Truly start you on that path to just shedding some of these, you know, pains or that you carry, and getting guidance too.
Yes,
Messages
very
come
important.
in nature. So the horses, I was out in the wilderness and came across them, and it was just so profound. And the work that I'm going to be doing with my horses, because horses have a very large bubble around them. And the healing that I'm going to be doing with horses on my farm, starting in the fall, is you go into a pasture with just my two horses, and they will actually read you and mirror you as to what energy you're putting off. The reason these wild horses came up to me is I already know that when you see a wild animal, you truly, even myself, who's a very peace-loving person and stand in the light, you have to, you know, kind of, you know, you truly bring your energy down to just this very peaceful place, and that makes you approachable. So if you're not that person, whether it be in the workplace, in a relationship or anything, the horses will show you that. And that's the work that we're going to be doing, is not riding them, but actually you go in and they will show you what energy you're reflect back to you exactly what you are giving off. And so, you know, can be a very emotional experience for some people, because then they learn to breathe, and then that horse comes up and truly connects with them. And there's nothing more magnificent than a 1,000-pound creature, you know, accepting you and showing you that kind of love.
That's really
nice. So it's beautiful. So that's what the photo is, one of the most spiritual experiences that I've had.
So we want to light some sage for the studio.
Yes, we're going to light some sage,
And this is going to clear the studio of all the old sort of.
Yes.
And when I do sage, sometimes it blows out. So do you have to keep sort of blowing on it, or?
Yeah, it does blow out, and so when the flame, as you can see, there's a little bit of a flame. The flame eventually goes out.
Smokes.
I always blow on it a little more.
Mm-hmm. It smells so nice.
Oh, it smells so nice. And even in doing that, it just kind of, you just can feel it.
So just make sure you don't do it near your fire alarm. So
yes, so when I'm smudging people's homes, you really need to watch the smoke alarm. And so if you're smudging a person, yeah, you just go around the whole person. And what they do for me is they're usually in this position, and I go around the front of them, over their head, around the back. If you're doing up and down their body, and that just completely clears and starts to heal them. If you're doing a home, you open a window on the top floor and start in the basement, and you go from the left corner of the room all the way around to the right, and just keep going until you have that room. Then you go up the steps, you go into closets, blow a little bit of smoke in there.
Make sure not to light your clothes on fire.
Don't light your clothes on fire. But it really brings such a sense of peace and calm.
Yeah, just the smell of it
Yes.
is calming.
Yes.
And I'm sure with children, if children are acting out
Children
or upset.
are really, it's so important with children to do it, because children up until the age of 5 can almost see spirit and feel things as clearly as I do. So it's very important to just smudge them. We send them off to school, and in our society being so much pressure and so much energy, and there are ones that are more sensitive, and it's wonderful
and pick
because
up lots of stuff.
yeah, and those are who we need in the world, are the more sensitive ones that are coming up with gifts and
Yes.
able to heal. So it's just very important to cleanse them on a regular basis, and people can do this at home.
That's great. That's great. And what is the other?
So the other thing that I
you
know that I think is very important, that I know works, it works in the same way as sage, and that's black tourmaline stones. Black tourmaline will keep negativity away and bring positivity around you, and kind of keep, that little bubble of light around you. Great to put in a little, the backpack. We would like to have it more like in their pocket, but if it needs to be in the backpack at school, it's still on them for part of the day, but also on their nightstand at night. That's very important.
We used to also put it under our beds for electromagnetic energy if you live close to high tension wires or near computers while you sleep.
Yes.
It's sort of
Black tourmaline,
balances
truly, I know there's a lot of stones out there. Black tourmaline is what I know works and really resonates with me. And then I brought the tobacco. I mean, it's used in a lot of ceremony that I do and that natives do. But for anyone who's doing wild foraging, which is now, hopefully people are swaying more toward that, because there's so many beautiful things in the earth that we can go and gather in our yards and on our land. It's important to leave some tobacco, not to pull the plant out by the root, but to clip it, and then also to put down tobacco. And that is just, as just a little bit of crumbled up tobacco is just an offering every time that you go out and gather. And that is just a, thank you for allowing us to gather from the earth, and just an offering to, above of, thank you for bringing these plants for us to eat. And then the plants the plants will come back in more abundance.
Oh, that's nice.
Because
So
you're
it's like a
honoring
blessing.
them. It's a blessing to honor them. So that's why I
Interesting.
brought the tobacco, just as a reminder that that's, truly a beautiful way to gather.
So much to learn. So Mara, we have to wrap up, but I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you
And
so much.
How can our audience reach you for appointments and?
So I do individual readings, and I do group readings. I do smudging, which is, I just explained, clearing of people's homes and themselves. And then I will be going into working with the horses. My website is sacredsweetgrass.com.
It's a beautiful
and they can
website.
reach me there. They can, you know, they don't necessarily need to get an appointment right away, but they can go in. I just hooked it up that they can get on my mailing list, and that's the best.
So you can
way to
actually
reach me.
click on appointment on the calendar.
It's so easy
Yeah.
because it just phone calls were becoming too chaotic.
Okay.
So it's literally you go on, you see what you want to do, and you can just press a button to whatever time works for you and
Great.
schedule it straight through there.
Well,
So,
thanks again.
Thank you
It was
so
so much
much.
fun. And we'll see you next time on Macro Magic.